I have cut a lot of vegetables in the morning, so half of it is done. Then I said, okay, I want to attend this class, and then I'll come back. So, and my mother, she has got up at 3:30 in the morning. So in this Tiruvonam day, she will make this rice and ghee, like with the milk, that payasam, and then she'll keep it in the puja room. So she only has to make it. So pal payasam. She made at 3:15. My sister was telling before even she got up 3:15. My mother got up and made that. So
okay,
that's that.
Very nice. So let's start. Good morning, Srihari.
Yeah.
Good morning.
So today, what we are going to do is from 8:30 to 9, we will do Bhagavad Gita. From 9 to 10, we will do Vivekachudamani, so that we can journey both of them together and complete it. And Lata had a very good observation that we are not completing any book in full. So we will complete these two in full. Okay. So verse number 24 talks about how should we identify that supreme reality. So he says, though unmanifested as an ordinary human being, the unintelligent or not educated or not civilized or whatever that can be considered, they consider me to be that. Meaning they always think that with these five senses, when a person were to interact with another person, he thinks that he is separate and the other person is separate. He doesn't understand that they both are the same manifestations. They seem different, but they are not. So they don't know my higher nature because they are always caught up in 8 things which we covered. These 8 things are 5 elements: manas, buddhi, ahankara. So generally when we say a normal worldling, a person who is of this world, what we are trying to say is that this person is having only these 8 things and he has 5 faculties or indriyas, and he is in search of the sense objects. Basically that is what this world is made up of, and that is the reason it is called as Maya. So mama avyayam anuttamam. My nature is immutable and peerless, but that is not understood at all. Immutable means imperishability, that is, it doesn't perish, it stays as it is. Everything else will perish. And peerless is non-dual. A person who has removed duality completely is peerless. There is no peer. Peer in the sense that there is no other person, other thing to be compared with. So again we come to that 4 things what I had initially said, that is, you have competition, so you have duality. You have comparison, you have duality. You have compulsions in life, that is duality. You have compromise, and that is duality. All these 4 tends to duality. So if somebody were to say that something is better than the other, already there is duality added in that. So then comes tall and short and long and long and short and fat and lean and good and bad. So all kind of dualities of existence. So the human being then suffers with that duality and cannot understand the true nature. If we were to talk about self realization, what is this realization of the self? That self realization means coming out of duality. In anything we do, and the person is able to understand that he is or she is interacting with the world as a transaction only, does not have anything to do with the world. So when we say there's a world outside, there is absolutely no world outside. It is the unmanifested which is getting manifested. The unmanifested is in the mind, and that is reproduced as a world outside. So we all have our own worlds, which we have already covered, that each family represents the world, and in each family each person has his own view of the world. So every person who comes into this life have their own way of channelizing their karma, and they keep on working towards it. So no two people can ever see the same object in the same given way, because there is already duality added in that. So the true nature is without dual, and that's the reason it is called as Advaita, non-dual nature. As long as we have this duality of existence, the person is not a sage, is not a person who has realized anything at all. He might or she might have known everything about it, but except for experiencing the non-duality. So can a Dvaita then not find realization? Yes, he'll find realization that it is non-dual. That's what the realization is all about. Now, what is liberation? It's beyond realization, beyond everything. That where the five senses cannot reach is Brahman. If it can be experienced by the mind through the five senses, it's realization. That which can surpass these five senses is Brahman. Now, how can one explain that one which cannot be experienced? Only through similes, nothing else. And that Brahman is veiled by Maya. So that's what the verse number 25 talks about. न अहम प्रकाशः सर्वस्य योगमाया समावृतः मूढ़ः अयं न अभिजानाति लोकः माम् अजम् अव्ययम्. I am not manifested in all and to all, but I am veiled by the divine Maya. This deluded world knows me not, the unborn and the imperishable. So whenever Krishna says I am, we need to take it as consciousness. Don't take it as Krishna, because Krishna died. So then that becomes a conflict of words. So the purest form of mind is Krishna. So if somebody were to say that I am a devotee of Krishna, it means to say that he has no raga, dvesha, moha. And a person who is a sthita prajna is called Krishna. So if not, then somebody or me, let us say in this case, taking my own example, then I need to work towards that rather than proclaiming that I am already that. So the devotee is one who is then exactly does what Krishna does. That's the reason he says that uh, person is very adorable or very likable by me because he has my nature. So what we are supposed to be doing here is to get rid of raga, dvesha, moha, and everything in this what we called as world is made out of maya. That means you will have raga, dvesha, moha. So let's understand what is this raga, dvesha, moha, from which the maya is. Raga is used as an attachment, but it is also attraction to something. The mind gets attracted to a particular sensation, and that sensation is pleasurable, and that pleasure is coming from the senses, because sensation arises in the senses and through the sense object. So the sense objects get connected to the senses through the consciousness, but the consciousness has got no interest over either the senses or to the sense object. So as an example, eye is not interested in the ear, and the ear is not interested in the nose, and the nose is not interested in the body, and the body is not interested in the jivha, that is the tongue. So if we take all these five senses, they know what they want. They just go behind what they know they should go behind. So that's the reason it's called Gyana Indriya. Now I have tamas and I have rajas in the mind. So there is a movement of the consciousness to connect the eye with the object of the sight. So let's say I'm seeing something. And I say I am seeing something, this consciousness is making that experience possible to the mind. And mind has attraction and repulsion. So mind decides what to take and what not to take. It tries to replace the objects. That's not possible. So it hates that object. Mind likes to retain the object, so in that way it will like the object. And there is moha. Here the moha is, or the delusion is, that I am enjoying it or I am suffering it. The experience of enjoyment and suffering is happening in the mind through the senses, and there is no I in that except for the consciousness which is connecting both of them. And this consciousness which connects these both is called as Atma. It is supposed to be pure, and if it cannot connect it or doesn't connect with it, when the mind becomes pure, meaning the mind gets rid of this attraction to the sense object and repulsion to the sense object, and considering that it is indeed experiencing it, if it is able to remove all of these three and comes out of the identification, the mind becomes Atma, or it merges with that Atma, which is consciousness. And this consciousness is the same consciousness which is called as Brahman. But this is an individual consciousness. It's not a universal consciousness. So the bucket and the moon. Now this self-realization is that it is a pratibimba. So what it does is it stops appearing again. The mind doesn't have the chittas which create this puddle of events. With that being not there, it freezes. Because there is no more consciousness connecting between the sense and the sense objects. So the person then reflects the moon or the sun or whatever is getting reflected, and there is no shake in the water. And then it drops off. It comes out of that experiencer kind of world. When it comes out of the experiencer kind of the world, it is as good as death. But it is held because the karma is still not ended in the body. So the person cannot experience anything at all because there is no experiencer. So the confusion here is, will the Atma get liberated? The answer is the Atma stops producing anything at all and hence is liberated. Again, I repeat, what is this Atma all about? This consciousness which is connecting both the senses and the sense object, and the experiencer is the mind which experiences this connection. If you look at the eye and the sound, it doesn't connect. So the ear is not interested in what is being seen by the eye. But the ear gets interested in the sound. But now ear has got nothing to do with the sound. Now who gets interested? The mind gets interested because the mind has something to do with attraction, repulsion, and it feels that it is doing it. And this experience is brought about by the consciousness. So mind feels that it is the consciousness and it itself is experiencing it. But Atma has got nothing to do with that experience. Atma here is the consciousness. Now this consciousness moves along with the mind in next bucket and next bucket and next bucket. This is called as rebirth consciousness. So every time there is a rebirth. To experience the same thing, there is nothing more to be experienced. So the five senses, five sense objects, and the mind feels those connections. So it likes and it dislikes. So this is the Maya. Now the person drops it. First the mind is pure, so the raga, dvesha, moha is not there. Comes into the Krishna's consciousness, Krishna's way of looking at things. Once it is Krishna level of consciousness, it has to drop. If not, it will be self-realized. So the person is self-realized, but self still exists. So it goes to Brahmaloka and comes back. Now what it has to do, if it has to get liberated, it has to drop itself. Tattvam asi, it should become that. Once that is achieved, there is no experience. And when there is no experiencer, there is no world. Because the world is the experiencer. If there is no experiencer, you can't experience the world. That is the reason in ignorance, in the tamasic, when we go to deep sleep, there is no world. because it is gone. You have to be there, the mind has to be there to experience the world. Now we are in Jagrata Avastha, so we can experience the world. The Turiya Avastha is the Jagrata person has no experience at all. So now he says Brahman is beyond time. I know the beings of the past, I know the beings of the present, O Arjuna, and I know the beings of the future, but no one can know me. Because if you are Brahman, there is no beginning, there is no end, there is no start, there is no stop, nothing is there. It is just that. So when the mind is there, it knows the past, it knows the present, it knows the future. But why is that we don't know the past? Because the mind is agitated. There is an agitation in the mind. Whatever can be the agitation, it can be a very subtle agitation, it can be a very gross agitation, it doesn't really matter. The mind is not stable enough for it to reflect back on its past. Once it knows how to access that information from the cloud drive, it can access all of its past data. What it was in the past life and how it was and what it was doing, including the minutest detail of everything. But again, the mind has to be stable enough to see that. Because the consciousness makes this experience possible. What is this experience? This experience is that it can go back to the previous life and previous life and previous life, and that gives an impression that I existed in the past. So let us say I am able to see around 1,000 lives. So definitely I will say that I existed in the past as so and so person person was my wife, and so person was my son or daughter, or I was an animal, I was this or I was that. So I can then relate that I am this, which is again Maya. Because Brahman doesn't exist in the past, doesn't exist in the future, or doesn't exist in the present. The time is not there in the Brahman. But mind sees it due to consciousness. So it says that I was existing in the past, and I am existing in the present, and then I will continue to exist in the future. This is an illusion again, it's a Maya. So Brahman is beyond time and space, because neither it experiences the reality nor it creates illusion. It just expresses it. It doesn't create anything. If there is a creation, there should be destruction. If there is no creation and there is no destruction, that's the reason Brahman neither is created nor is destroyed. So when Krishna says that Maya cannot affect me, he is trying to say that I am the pure consciousness. So it is beyond all sattva, rajas, tamas. All that what is known, I am beyond that. So now, why cannot we do it? Ichha dvesha samuttena. Ichha is liking. Dvesha is aversion, disliking. The basic problem of all of us is that we like something, we don't like something. As though we have a choice. Dvandva mohena bharata. So this is the dvandva, pair of opposite in everything. And that is the delusion, moha. Sarva bhutani sammoham. So the problem now is that it is not just moha, some plus moha. Some is a combination of or the quantity of raga, dvesha, moha in a particular way. So if you really see, some of us are dvesha oriented person. We find problem with every given thing. You could have seen some people, they find mistakes in the most correct things also, because their job is to find or critically analyze or criticize. And these people can sometimes be called as intellectuals, whose job is to criticize what is not working, and we call that as constructive feedback. So we have used all these English words or even normal language to justify what is wrong as right. So the more the intellectualization, the worse it gets, because then we start criticizing anything and everything we find. Then comes a very funny thing, that I want it to be like this. It's all good, but it should have been like this. So this is another kind. So you have the dvesha and you have this ichcha. Ichcha, dvesha keeps on adding, and the person can be having more of dvesha and less of ichcha. And there could be people who have more of ichcha. They keep on saying that I wish today should have been like this. I wish the food should have been like this. I wish this project should have been like this, or I wish. So this I wish is endless. And there are people who says, I hate this kind of thing which is coming into existence. I hate it. So basically we find in every person, either there is I wish or I hate. Some moha means either one of them is highest in that person. In his speech, in his or her speech, or in his or her thoughts and his or her actions. So thoughts, words and action, that is manasa, vacha, kaya. All the three we can find something is more and something is less. And this is the cause of birth. As long as we have dvandva, it takes you to moha. As far as it takes you to moha, there is a birth. So we are going to be born, and if we are going to be born, we are going to die. So, so joys and sorrows becomes part of this deluded mind which goes through multiple births. Like in the case, if I get to see 10,000 lives, or 10,000 or 1 lakh or endless lives, if it is makes me excited, wow, I am able to access my cloud drive, is that an achievement? Or should I really enjoy that? No, absolutely not, because that takes me to raga or ichcha. Oh, I wish in that life it should have been like that. Oh, it is good that today I have got it. Oh, in that life it was much better, but in this life I have not got it. So again, I am going to come back to comparison, compulsion, competition, and compromise. Now I don't have a choice. I have to compromise with the life what has been given. And I have to compulsively live now, because if I see my past life, in the past life I was a better off person, but now I am not. So I have to compulsively choose to live in the way I have been given, but I don't want it. So I want to change it. Okay, I need to again take further more lives. So this deluded mind will undergo births and deaths. So with that, let's end today's session on Bhagavad Gita, and we can start on the Vivekachudamani. Any questions on this before we go there?
No, so the self-realized person will be going into this Brahma realm of existence.
Yes, that is called. That is the reason it's called as Atmananda.
Yeah. So okay, so but maybe you are not in that self-realized state all the time. So only when you are at the dying moment, you are in that state, then you will go.
Yes, otherwise you
will come back again.
Yes, otherwise you might not even go to Brahmaloka.
Yeah. So then you will come and take a human birth again. Somewhere.
Yes.
And start off wherever we have left.
Yes, start off wherever we have left. Just like what we have done now.
Yeah. So we would have also done something. Not reached fully. Absolutely. Somewhere half we would have reached, and then now again we are here.
Yes.
Maybe we are doing it for your lives together.
Yeah. That is exactly what we've been doing.
Okay.
There is no doubt that we have not done this in the past. And also there is no doubt that we have not met also in the past.
Yeah. So we would have met for definitely, yes. And there would have been some connection, whatever connection that is.
Yes. Any question? Bhatt, Padmashri, Srihari?
I am fully listening in terms of past life. But when you reach certain stage, automatically past life will come without any effort, right? To your
yes,
you can visualize.
Not
but
visualize.
Only thing is you will not attach to that.
Yeah, the problem is that, there is all likelihood, 99% chances that we associate with the past life and start all the four things. That is, compare, again, compete with what has happened, what has not happened, have a compulsion and compromise. So again, I take birth because I am interested in correcting something which has already passed away. So I have to come back to the next life to do that. So when the mind is relatively stable, you will be able to see your past life. Just like when I was explaining about Brahmopadesham to Sri Hari, that was the only time I got to see that. And after that, I have never been able to reflect back on the past life. That was very vivid, clear, and I was knowing all that I was doing.
Does this mean that past life, suppose, a set of people together with the same taste or, doing something together, past life maybe 10 lives, or what do you call, 1,000 years before, or maybe 200 years before, anything is possible. Right?
Anything is possible, yes. See, as we speak now, we will be bringing most of the experiences from not only from this life, also from past life. If you really observe, you will come to know. There are a lot of things which you wouldn't have learned in this life at all, but you would be knowing something.
Yeah, correct. That is right.
And that is coming from your past. See, let's take another example. See, I have never studied Ayurveda to my knowledge from the time of my birth until January of 2020. Okay, I don't know anything at all. Even during January also I was not knowing. So this one of my friends, relative, she approached me and we started discussing, and I started explaining to her. And she started marking in the book wherever it matched. So she had brought with her this Charaka Samhita and then Sushruta, Vagbata and all that. So in 9 hours time, she matched whatever I was telling to 99% of what was there in the book. So now from where this came, if I were to take it, I have never studied Ayurveda at all in my life. I don't even know. But on that day it worked. Okay. Now the situation which she brought me in created an opportunity to go back and get that information from whichever life I had experienced it. Now what if my mind is very pure and I'm able to see all the lives and I can bring the experience from there and share? That's all what the past life is all about. Which unknowingly we are doing it. That is called as ignorance. You do it with knowledge. That is called Gyana. Because in all the lives we are learning something or the other every moment. So that is stored. That is stored in the cloud drive. You don't know the password and the username. Given the username password, you can access it. So it is not something of an achievement, I could say, of I knowing Ayurveda or I knowing Bhagavad Gita or Buddha teachings or this and that. I don't think so that it is any great achievement for me, because it looks stupidity on my part if I were to claim that, because it is just I'm accessing information which I had learned some time ago. Just like we have learned so many things, and it is there. When a right opportunity comes, it will just come out of. And if I were to claim it, I have a problem. Then I am attached to it. So again, I have created this Ichcha Dvesha. If I am not able to access it, then the Dvesha. If I am able to access it, then there is Ichcha. And then the Moha is that I am accessing it. Without consciousness, how can I access it? It's not possible. And consciousness has got nothing to do with what I access and what I don't access. So it is better to drop it off. Any other question?
You're telling that when you don't like, you have to drop it off, which means that is an opportunity you got in this life to practice spirituality.
Correct.
Dropping means.
Correct. Okay, so shall we now jump?
Hey, one more thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
This, you were mentioning earlier, once you have sufficient money to live a simple life, then you practice spirituality.
Correct.
Practicing spirituality, does this mean that I have to do meditation, or I don't have to do anything? That also can be spirituality?
No, it's not like
don't
that.
Do anything?
No, it's not like that. You have to, in a day, okay, now let us say, it's a very good thing what you brought about. Let us say all the four of us quit the job. Or including Sri Hari for time being, let us take him also. So Sri Hari, don't take it too seriously. I'm just trying to see how it works.
Okay.
So let's say all of us quit job today. How do we spend time? So now we have to spend time in reflection. So first is Shravana. Take one subject, go detailed into it. It can be Vivekachudamani, or it can be Aparoksha Anubhuti, or it can be Bhagavad Gita, it can be Brahma Sutra, or whatever you are taking, based upon your interest. So more than half a day will go in Shravana. So from morning, let us say waking up in the morning at 4 o'clock, you are doing a meditation for till 6 o'clock, let's say 4 to 6, 2 hours, wherein you watch the breath and look at what is breath bringing into you. what experience is the breath doing. Actually, if you carefully observe, breath is a very neutral one. It doesn't do anything, and it shows that it is going away. Every breath taken shows that there is a death, basically. So that is the reflection, that is the manana, that you are getting the nididhyasana in 2 hours time. So if you look at a Vivekachudamani, it explains very clearly on what is the body, what is the mind, what is an antakarna, and all of that. So you need to do the reflection in that 2 hours. Then 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock, or let us say 4 to 5, we can do this. 5 to 6, we can go for a walk. 6 to 9 or 8 o'clock, we can do the Shravana. 8 o'clock, take a bath, have a breakfast, and then continue the Shravana from 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock. 11 o'clock, have lunch, and then don't eat anything at all. So now we are going to go from the Shravana, what we have done from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m., 4 hours, we go into this manana. That is reflecting upon whatever has been learnt in every activity we are doing. Then from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. it is practicing that. 9 p.m. Anyway you're not going to have dinner, so 9 p.m. have milk, and again go for meditation from, let us say, 9 to 11, 2 hours, and then 11 p.m. go to sleep, wherein objective is to watch the breath and see that what the dream sequences are coming, and how are they coming, and what are they bringing. Is it bringing with sadness? Is it bringing with joy? It is bringing with sorrow? Is it bringing grief, or whatever it is? That means all those impressions are still stored up in the mind. So that means my practice is not going well. If on that day there is no dreams, but I am awake, it means it is perfectly in align with what should have happened. So this is the practice what I am supposed to do from morning 4 o'clock till night 11 o'clock. All the days of the week. There's nothing called Sunday off or Monday off or all that. This is what we are supposed to be doing. So what is the benefit? 21 days if we were to do this. Okay, whether we want to do with deity or we want to do without deity, it is up to individual choice. In 21 days, the person will reach the Savikalpa Samadhi or Saguna Brahman. And then onwards, it will lead itself to realization.
This is vrita, what you are telling. It has to be done.
Yes. Now, can I have a family for time being? Can I work for a time being? Can I do this for time being? Okay, you do it, but this will not get established.
Yes.
You can establish, but it will take a long time.
Yes. So in this life, it might not happen. So next life, anyway, we don't know.
No, even in this life, even if you have started a long back and then had continued, then also it will establish. Savikalpa Samadhi will establish, but other one will not establish.
Yes. So we will always get into the stage of Savikalpa Samadhi. That is, realization is always possible, and that is the reason I said on the other day that liberation might not be possible, realization is possible.
Yeah, that is true. So the Savikalpa Samadhi or Saguna Brahman is possible. But the other one, you have to be really, really serious and then do, as you say, the full day only on that.
Yes. So this is what I want to do when I turn 50.
Yeah, correct.
Till the end of my life.
This is what I try to do on Saturday, Sundays, as much as possible.
Okay, that is good. So,
but not nowadays. But earlier, when I was in Bangalore, I was trying to do this. Only, okay, some things I have to anyway do. I have to cook food and all that. remaining time I will be always doing this. But that's what I was attempting to do. So it was sounding very nice actually.
Wow, good.
Yeah, but it's not 21 days, right? Every day you have to do.
No,
It's not that you have to stop 21 days and then you stop it. That's it. It's not that. You have to continue.
You have to continue, but the advantage here is that you'll get that motivation, right? In 21 days, you will get that deity coming near you.
Yeah, if you don't have a deity, then what will happen?
Then you are going on the Gyana Marga.
No. Instead of Saguna Brahman, so what will get established? Because if you have a deity, you will have that kind of.
Now you have come to the core of the teachings.
Yeah.
Then you have to follow Vivekachudamani to the tooth and nail.
No, you said 21 days, right? So with the deity,
that 21 days is not applicable. No, that 21 days is not applicable for those people who don't establish a deity.
Correct. That's what I was so confused. Yes. Now it's okay.
Yeah. So this is only for those people who have trouble in accepting Brahman as Nirguna.
We'll ask a quick question.
Yes.
There is a story where Sukha Maharshi tells about the Bhagavata in 7 days to Parikshit, King Parikshit.
Yes.
Yeah. So what is that 7 days? Even Parikshit, when he comes to know that in 7 days he is going to leave the body, he wanted to do something to know for the liberation. So then he approaches Sukha Maharshi, and then Sukha Maharshi gives his Saptaha. In 7 days, he teaches the Bhagavad. So what is that significance of 7 days against these 21 days?
No, it is all in 7 only, Sri Hari. See, there is a thing like this. There is a magic number called as 4 plus 3, 7. Okay. Everything is divisible by 4. You have got the 4 seasons and like that. So if one day I think I will take you through that route of what is this 7 plus 2, 9. Okay. So basically in 7 days, if you take 7 is divine in the sense that there are 7 dhatus in the body. Okay. And there are 7 worlds. So if you look at the Om Buhu, Om Bhuvaha, Om Suvaha, Om Maha, Om Janam, Tapaham, Satyam, that is 7 worlds. And the Kundalini is also 7. The 7 chakras. So they found out that 7 is a number which resonates with Brahman. That is pure consciousness. And if you were to add 2 to that, so they added 2 and made it like 4,32,000 and all that. So it becomes 9. The advantage of 9 is that a 9 is divisible by itself. And everything, if you multiply or do anything with that, it becomes 9. Let us say we take 9 ones is 9, 9 twos are 18, and then the 8 plus 1 becomes 9. Like that, if you keep on doing it, you only get 9. It doesn't get anything other than 9. And 9 is the biggest number. So they found out that they can play around with 7 and 9. That 7 and 2 or 4 plus 3 plus 2. Okay. So this story, what you're talking about, the Parikshit Maharaj or the king, is that the Bhagavata, he had known lot of things and he had to correctly know it. So in 7 days he was going to pass away. So that knowledge what was given made him to not only realize but to experience how it is to be liberated in 7 days. So there is a process of understanding about 7. So someday I think we can do only one class on 7. What is the 7? But summary wise, I can tell you this much right now.
Okay. Because there were a couple of sishyas of my guru who took sannyas ashrama. They are elderly people, and then they took sannyas ashrama. So they were telling once when I met them during Dasaras, what they were telling is if in sannyas ashrama they should see at the 9 days. If they go to any of the pilgrimage place, let's say Varanasi, so they stay for 9 days in the same mode that you were telling, like what has the daily routine. And if in normal life, family life, then it is at least 7 days is needed. So I was also, I correlated that time with this story of 7 days Saptaha. But this 21 days, I was little not sure of.
No,
so yes, we can take a separate class for this to understand.
Yeah, 21 days is 3 times 7. See, okay, this 21 days, let me explain to you. For that, we don't have to go to another class. See, it is based upon the woman's menstrual cycle. Okay, it's called peak and trough. So the normal menstrual cycle, until the first we have to understand the menstrual cycle periods from 12th year onward. So basically it is divided into 4, that is 12 into 4, 48. So 12th year the girl starts with her menstrual cycle, and it can end by 48. If somebody starts at 13, it goes to 50, 51 or something like that. So generally the Ayurvedic, if you were to see, it is 12 and 4 times. 12 into 4, 48. So the peaking period of the egg is between the 12th year to 24th year. 25th year it stabilizes. Again it becomes 7. 5 plus 2 becomes 7. So from 25th year to the next cycle, that is 36, she is at the maximum peak, beyond which it starts dropping away. So then the last cycle is 36 to 48. So this is how the 4 seasons of a woman is defined. So normally in if you go into the alchemy, and also you go into more of the detail on how the energy system works, you have to take a female into consideration, because her energy level is a parameter to measure everything, because it is treated as Shakti. So the first 7 days the egg starts moving, and the next 7 days it peaks up. So it is 14th day. So generally if there is a coitus in the 14th day, it is certainly going to get into the conceiving. And the next 7 days it will come to the fallopian tube, wherein it will now come into the ejection mode. So then it becomes 21. This 21 is, that means if some fruit has to happen of the sadhana, it will take around 21 days, or it takes 21 times. So if I am uttering let us say Om, or I am uttering Gayatri or whatever it is, if we make it for 21 times, by 14 to 21 I will have the effect of that basically. And comes 28, that is end, Samapti. So generally if you want to maintain that virya, that is the strength or the effort of that sadhana, you need to try for 21 days. If doesn't work, again try for next 21 days. It doesn't work, again try for 21 days. Don't get into 28 trough. So wherein for some people, like in Lata, when she asked me about the mantra, looking at her way her energy system works, so I told her that you have to do it in 56 days. What I meant was 28 into 2 is 56. So by 56th day, you will get what you wanted to do with that mantra. So she got what she wanted out of that mantra in 56 days time. Then after that, she doesn't have to use it. That tool need not be used. So that is the scientific, what I can say, explanation behind why 21. It's always 7, but it depends on the person's ability, or the person should be able to see the other person and look into his eyes, penetrate and see whether the person can achieve something in 7 days or not. And there might be people who can achieve something in 7 days. So whether it is Sapta Sagara, or we talk about the rituals, or whatever we are talking about, it is in general 7, but that rule of 7 might not work for every person because his or her energy is different. So some people might take less than 7 days, or within 7 days. Some people will take more than 7 days, can be 14 or 21 or 28 or 56 or like that. It can go endless. Did I answer?
Yes, plus, yeah.
Very good question. Any other questions with relation to that?
So it will be always in multiples of 7.
Yes, it will be always.
So
multiple
for
of
me, you give 28 days and 56 days and so on.
Yes.
So it will be always in 7, not in terms of 9.
No, not in terms of 9. You will achieve 9, basically, after that.
Yeah, okay. So 108 is also related
To 7.
these numbers.
To 9.
7, right?
To 9.
Yeah, to 9 actually.
Yeah, it is 12 times 9.
Yeah, 12 times 9, correct. Yeah, that's what I did earlier for Om. So when we started meditation,
Yes.
when I started meditation, that's 2018. Sorry, it's 2017 end. No, it was 2018 end. So I remember I was doing it 12 into 9 times.
Correct. See, actually, there is this called as completing the circle. 108 completes the circle. Meaning, if you were to say something 108 times, it turns itself into reality. So, mananat trayate iti mantra is what the definition of mantra is. So, if you were to say something or do something for 108 times, it turns into reality. You will make it manifest. So if somebody were to keep on thinking about coronavirus 108 times, it becomes he or she will get coronavirus for sure.
So if you keep thinking about Om or chant this Om in your mind, you should be able to hear that humming sound around.
Yes, you will be able to hear the humming sound at 108. It works.
Yeah, it works. Sometimes I've heard. Nowadays I'm not doing Om, so I'm not hearing it.
But it works.
Yeah, it works. Yeah, that's what I've seen. I have experienced it working. So.
Perfect then. Very good.
Okay.
Shall we now jump into the other one?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Okay, good. So we will start with Kosha. So what Shankaracharya did, he did a very extraordinary thing. He took the Taittiriya Upanishad and made it very profound way of looking the Taittiriya Upanishad than the general way of looking at Taittiriya Upanishad. That is the Annamaya Kosha, the Pranamaya Kosha, the Manomaya Kosha. Vijnanamaya Kosha and Anandamaya Kosha. These are the 5 koshas, but Shankara remodeled it for experience, for gaining experience rather than looking at theory. At that point in time, people who were reciting Taittiriya Upanishad were just trying to prove that they know Taittiriya Upanishad, or they have understood these koshas, but Shankara found that they have neither understood nor they have experienced anything to do with these koshas. So he, the verse number 154 to 164, 11 of these represent the Annamaya Kosha. So we will take the Annamaya Kosha today. Okay, so what is Anna? Let me give you a very easy examples and then we can see. Anna is treated as rice, and Anna is also treated as food. What is the food kosha? Food kosha have to be understood in terms of dhatu. Without the knowing of dhatu, it is just impossible to even go deeper. So one thing we need to know is that there is something called as rasa dhatu. Rasa, I don't want to use an English word equivalent to it, so let us keep rasa as rasa. Then once you have the rasa dhatu, you have the rakta dhatu, which is blood. Okay, so rakta dhatu. Then you have mamsa dhatu, flesh. Meda dhatu, which is fat. Then asti dhatu, which is bones. Majja dhatu, again I don't want to use an English equivalent, it is tissues, but I don't know how to really make that out. And shukra dhatu, again you have a problem here, it is treated as semen. It is there are 2 things in that, you have arthava and you have shukra. Arthava is the menstrual blood or menstrual energy of a woman, and the shukra is the potency of the man. So these are the 7 basic dhatus, and all that we can see in everything is the 7 dhatus. So the anna, the food which gets pachana, that is, it get digested, gets transformed in few days into each one of these dhatu. So again you have these 7 here, so it becomes 7 dhatus, 7 days, 49th day the ojas gets generated in the man. And that rule is not applicable to the woman because she goes through the menstrual cycle. So this food sheath or kosha represents what is this body deha is all about. So for which we need to know what is the meaning of deha. Dahati iti deha, which burns. So we are looking at a product which keeps on burning, and if you touch yourself you will find that you are burning. So the Taittiriya Upanishad, which talks about the Annamaya Kosha, and what Shankaracharya teaches about Annamaya Kosha, there is a difference. He has made it more experiential. You can touch it right now and see what this food sheath or Annamaya Kosha is all about. So he says the body is a product of food. Nobody can deny that. It constitutes what is undertaken as food. So you have a physical food. So the gross physical food with water, with all that carbohydrates, mineral, whatever we are talking about, is what it represents as the deha. But the problem with deha is it keeps on burning. It exists because of food, and goes out of life when the food is not given. Now, what it means is that it also has filth in that, purishaha. So, what is this body which is composed of? So, Ayurveda and Shankara, they both are related. So, I will use Ayurveda also here. So, basically, we are made up of 3 doshas and 7 dhatus and 3 mala. This is what I think we had covered this some time ago, and it is good to cover again. So, Mutra, Purisha, and Sweda, these are the 3 mala, and Sattva, Rajas, Tamas are the doshas of the mind, and there are 3 doshas, Vata, Pitta, Kapha of the body. So, we are talking about the body, so it is VPK, Vata, Pitta, Kapha, 7 dhatus, and 3 mala. So, he is saying here it's a bundle of skin, flesh, blood, bones, and filth. So, how can you treat this body, which is filthy matter, to be reality? This is his question on the Annamaya Kosha. What it means is that when I say myself, I am actually talking about the body. How? I'll stand in front of the mirror and I will say, when I was 10 years, my body was looking like this. Now it is looking like this. I want it to look like this. And it looks so attractive. Many people have complimented me that I look so smart, or I look so lean, I look so healthy. Okay, and my body has got a luster and it is elastic, and I can do pranayama at ease, I can do yogasana at ease, I can jog, I can walk. The walking I generally do for 9 kilometers or 10 kilometers. If I jog, even at this age, I can jog. I can go to marathon, and I have won a lot of prizes. All of these things is what this body is all about. So he says, how can you take a filth and start congratulating the filth? This is the first shloka, 154. Now 155, he gives further more things. Before the birth, as well as after the death, this body doesn't exist, which is true. I can't say I was born earlier, no, because there's no body. I can't say I'm still alive if there is no body. Now, with the COVID coming and people dying, who is dying? The body is no longer there, but nobody has died. But I will say this person died and that person died because the body is dying. The body is anyway dying. It is burning, dahati. When born, it is of a fleeting nature. It keeps on changing. Okay, and full of uncertainty. At one time I'm hungry, at another time I'm not hungry. At one time is a pain in the body, another time there is no pain in the body. At one time I have eaten proper food but it is not digested. Another time I have not eaten proper food but yet it is digested. I can't even say that whether I can digest the food or not. And it is ever changing. It is inert, a very diversified in terms of how it can change sizes, like a jar, and it has only the quality of a sense object. How? You can touch it. Now the problem what I'm making is I touch a girl because there is a girl in my mind, or I have a man or a boy in my mind. Now when I touch, I am touching a filthy thing called as a girl and a filthy thing called as a man or a boy. But then what I tell that girl or a boy is, why don't you take a bath and come? You are smelling. In fact, that person is not smelling. The body is getting decayed, decomposed, and then the decomposing filth is what comes out of the skin and then it smells. So if you were to smell our own flesh and our own sweat smell, we know what it is. So we don't have to go into detail of that. But it's good to penetrate and see what is really happening. This is like a sense object. You can sense. Out of the 5 senses, the 5th sense is this touch. So we keep on touching something or the other and we get that expression. It's a sense object. How can be by itself? It is a self and which is witness of all changes and all the things. That's his question. How can you say it is myself? And you have been observing this change from the time of your birth. How can the body see that? The body cannot see anything at all. If body was seeing, it wouldn't have allowed one white strand of hair coming on the head. And how many dresses we have changed from our birth till today? And how many food we have changed? So all the things that body has not experienced. So the body is made out of the arms and legs, that is karmendriyas, cannot be the self, since even when the legs and the hands are amputated, they still are able to lead life. Its various functions continue as efficiently as earlier. This proves that it is a subject to a rule and not by itself a ruler. Generally, a person thinks he is the body. If you look at celebrities in films or in health or whatever profession they are in, they would like to maintain their body. They want to maintain their body firmness, skin firmness, tissue, bones and all that, not knowing that they are not what they are doing. It is the karma which is making them to enjoy or suffer that body. They are not really there to enjoy anything at all. Okay, so it is madness to treat the body as a ruler. In fact, it is something which is subject to be ruled. So then he gives an explanation on verse number 157. What is this self and how it is distinct from the body? So he says, from the body's characteristics, if one were to look at, and its activities it performs, from the self being the witness of the 3 states, that is the Jagratavastha, Swapnavastha and the Shushupti, what it is self-evident that that self alone is the reality. And it is very clear that the self is distinct from that of the body. Why? Because if a person were to start thinking, his body consciousness is gone. Only when the mosquito bites, there would be a consciousness. Otherwise, it is again gone. So, body is definitely inert. It is not the self. So, we have this madness that the consciousness is always there in the body. No. From head to toe, you don't even feel most of the parts as we speak right now. Only when you put an awareness to that part of the body, it comes to life. If you throw the awareness off, there is no life. Then he gives the second. A packet of bones covered with flesh, full of filth and extremely impure. How can this ever be the knower? Indeed, from this, the self view of the body and the self are quite distinct. Okay, what it means is that number one, if we see it there, we have 300 bones in the body. They can't be the self, because when a person dies, you can really see that 300 bones being there. It is not by itself an awareness. Covered with flesh. Whatever you eat turns itself into flesh. So now a question that needs to be asked is that what is the difference between vegetarian and a non-vegetarian? Actually, people make a big issue out of vegetarian and non-vegetarian, a big deal about vegetarian and non-vegetarian. They don't realize that even if they eat vegetarian food, it turns into flesh, which is no difference than a non-vegetarian eating a non-vegetarian food, also it is flesh. If a vegetarian person eating the food had some difference in the flesh or in the composition of the flesh, then we could have said that, oh, by eating vegetarian, this person's body is pure. And a person who eats non-vegetarian, and we could have told that, oh, you are eating non-vegetarian food and you see a vegetarian body is like this, which is pure sattva, and a non-vegetarian body is tamas, and it is filthy and dirty. So vegetarian eating will give you sattva guna, whereas non-vegetarian eating will give you tamasic guna. But that is not true. Vegetarian body is equally filthy, as good as a non-vegetarian body. The flesh, the bones, the skin has no change between a vegetarian person and a non-vegetarian person. Same thing with cow and the calf and the sheep and the goat and all the sasyahari kind of animals with mamsahari kind of animals. They both are the same. So the flesh as such is the same. It is filthy, rotting nature, and it smells impure. Then how can this body can be considered at all as a knower of anything? But how it is promoted is that it itself is the knower, which is really untrue. It is not at all the knower of anything.
Non-vegetarian.
Vilas, but this vegetarian, non-vegetarian is something which is very questionable, because of course the end result is the flesh only, meaning it all becomes muscles, it all becomes cells, it all becomes everything. But then there is always a mental status.
Yes,
and
yes,
these gunas and all are having an impact with what you eat.
Correct. I agree, and I would have come to the mental state later. So then we are at present in the physical layer.
Okay.
So I am talking from the physical perspective. Yes, all these are gunas of the mind, which is true. So if our mind were to be impure, non-vegetarian makes it impure, vegetarian doesn't make it impure, because the sattva, rajas and tamas are the gunas of the mind, not of the body. But the thinking, what a person gets generally in the body itself, is that non-vegetarian food will bring that person bad health, and the vegetarian will give him good health. That is far from the truth. They both are filthy only, irrespective of whether a person eats non-vegetarian food or eats a vegetarian food. It is the state of mind which differs than the physical eating of that. Okay, continuing further, he says in the verse number 159, yet body mistaken as self, skin, flesh, fat, bones with this mass of filth. So he's talking about tvak, mamsa, meda, asti, which is the seven dhatus. Does the foolish man identify himself? He says that this person always identify himself as the body, but he would know the distinction of self from the body. Such a man of discrimination knows the self to be his very own nature and an absolute reality. Now, this is what we generally don't understand. Every time we try to protect the body and we try to protect the senses, and all the five senses are there on the face: two eyes, two ears, nose, and then you have the skin and you have the lips. So what the point is that all of us, or majority or 99% of them, would like to beautify the face, be it a man or a woman. It doesn't really matter, because all the five senses are there on the face. So face is the index with which we measure the world. So we want to look attractive. So there is an office decorum, there is a house decorum, there is this and that. All of these concepts have come into existence because of the view that the body is myself. So this whole body from head to toe is filthy, but yet made attractive. Two, we would like to protect the face. Nobody likes to damage the face. If the face gets damaged, nobody can even recognize that person. And due to that reason, there is always a fear. So when we fall down, we would like to protect the five indriyas. So we don't want anything to poke into our eyes. We don't want anything to poke into our ears. We don't want anything to be poked into our nose. We don't want anything to be poked into our tongue, and we don't want anything to be poked into our skin, because all the five senses should be active to enjoy the reality or enjoy the sensual pleasure. Otherwise, it becomes displeasure. So the foolish man always identify himself with the skin, flesh and fat and bones, and this mass of filth. And that is the reason this person can be found out. How? How can you find out this person is a foolish person? If somebody were to say, I'm a foodie, that's a very clear indication that he thinks he is the body. And they keep on preparing various kind of food, eating different kind of food, and relishing it, enjoying it, and then saying that, oh, this I did it in this way, I think next time I'll do it in that other way. This dish is beautiful, this dish is elegant, and so on and so forth. So that clearly shows the attachment the person has, or that self has, towards body. So then he gives a distinction between the fool and the wise. I think we will take it tomorrow. It's almost 10 o'clock. I have a meeting at 10. Would that be fine?
Okay, fine.
Yeah, fine.
Okay.
Yeah,
So then tomorrow we will take a part of the Bhagavad Gita 7th chapter and continue again on this.
Yeah, this is not there in Bhagavad Gita, Panchakosha.
Yes, it is not there. So I thought that I will add both of them to give the best of the experience.
Yeah. Okay, Vilas.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you then.
Thank you.
thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye. Bye.
Bye.